Hi, my name is Drew and I'm the Aspiring Master, and today I'm going to give you the 5 things you need to know about lying. Let's get to it. Let's first define the word that we're dissecting. Hopping over to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, we see the definition of lie is lie, to make an untrue statement with the intent to deceive or to create a false or misleading impression. Seems like a great definition of the word to me, so let's move on. Number 5. We lie, mostly unknowingly, all the time. We lie to ourselves and to each other all the time. I mean, many times a day, like a lot. Okay, when I say this, I'm not meaning those big chunky lies like I took the garbage out, when obviously I didn't, but more the subtle lies we start telling ourselves or enacting from the beginning of our day. As soon as we get up in the morning, we start to lie. This is a harsh statement, I know, but we do. Whether it's telling a partner that we're feeling awake when we obviously need more sleep, to putting on makeup so that we look more vitalized than we are. We lie about our past, editing out the bad stuff to make it sound better than it was, or editing out the good stuff to make it sound worse than it was, depending on the impression that we're trying to give. We lie about how we feel about others, how we feel about ourselves, and how we feel about the world around us. We lie pretty much all the time, but most of the time we don't even know that we're doing it. When we fall or get hurt, the most common thing to do is to downplay the injury. So many times we tell the lie, "I'm all right," when we're obviously in pain. We push people away that are trying to help us for fear that we will appear weak. Lying is actually one of the most consistent things that we do. We lie to spare feelings, we lie to save face, we lie to look good, we lie to prevent hard feelings, we lie to prevent bad consequences, we lie to get jobs, and on and on. So let me clarify this, because this sounds pretty abysmal. It is, and it isn't. I'm including here all the exaggerations that we use on a daily basis, as well as shaded or partial truths that are meant to deceive, along with the untruths that we don't even think are lies. The wearing of clothing so that we look more attractive, makeup for the same reason, jewelry, energy drinks that make us appear to have a more youthful energy, and anything that we feel that presents us better in other people's eyes. And because we need to look better to others to get ahead, we are deceiving pretty much constantly. And if we're deceiving, we are at heart not telling the truth or lying so that we can get ahead. Number 4, we're inadvertently taught that lying is good. When we were born, we started to learn. We absorbed information all the time from all our senses. Even if we didn't understand what was coming into our experience, we recorded it and would work on emulating it. This is what makes us the smartest and most innovative animals on the planet. The downside is that as children, we learn what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. And when we learn these things, we are taught that lying is the right and good thing to do. Now, this is an extremely bold statement, and I know that many people may disagree, so here's why I've come to this conclusion. Even though our parents told us that lying was bad, they demonstrated that it was good. I found that if I told the truth about something, I would get in far more trouble than if I lied about it, especially if I told the truth right away. For example, when I broke something that my mother loved and told her I did it when she got home from work, I got in a great deal of trouble. I found that when I did something wrong and deceived my mom, chances were that I wouldn't get caught. But even if I did, the punishment and emotional charge was way less than if I had told the truth right on the spot. Also, if I fell and hurt myself, I was mocked and told to suck it up, and it didn't matter if the pain was emotional or physical. If I expressed my distress by crying, looking hurt, or even limping, I was often mocked by my peers and adults alike, and told to grow up. Now, this only started to happen to me after I was about 5 or 6. Before that, my pain was coddled, but even at a young age, all the other kids and adults around me demonstrated the lie about their pains by sucking it up and trying not to let it show. All of these situations prompt the idea that we must lie in order to be acceptable and in order not to be perceived as weak. As you can see, from the very beginning, we were being taught that lying was good and the thing to do, all the while being told that it was the bad thing to do. Number 3. Our culture of lying is bad for business. Whether we like it or not, we've used lying to get ahead. Businesses often deceive their clients to make money. We have seen companies advertise their wares and make grand claims like,
Our products are the ones you need.
Sometimes the companies can meet or exceed these claims, but most of the time they fall short of them. Companies that cannot even meet the minimum amount of customer satisfaction tend to die. Just look at the companies that started off having great products that ended up losing business as quality deteriorated. Now, I'm not arguing that there are not companies out there that continue to stay in business even with all the deception, but the more clients feel like they have been deceived, especially in this day and age of social media, the worse a company does. People, though we've been taught to lie to others, really don't like being lied to. So when a company betrays the trust of its clients on a large scale, they are more likely to fail. Thus, if one is in business, honesty and fair dealing will give your business a boost and a better chance for success, even though it seems to be harder to get ahead when the business first starts out. Number 2, lying causes relationships to fail. Relationships are based upon trust, and trust is built on honesty, and lying, though it's usually a form of self-protection, eventually erodes trust and thus is disastrous on a relationship. We as human beings are actually pretty good lie detectors, but through many deceptions as we were growing up, such as an adult telling us that they were all right when we asked them, when all the signs show that they're not, cause us to distrust our own feelings, and we tend not to trust our hunches about being lied to when we become adults. When we are lied to like this as children, we start to distrust our own instincts about situations, because even though our senses scream that there's something happening, the people deceiving us are older and wiser than we are. So we think, with a child's trusting naivete, that they will always tell us the truth. So we must be wrong. So this, in turn, makes us doubt our own instincts. Even though as adults we have a tough time trusting our hunches, subconsciously we can detect incongruities or differences in others' behaviors when they're lying, which will slowly erode our trust in them, at least on a subconscious level at first. But this will eventually lead us to a conscious understanding, and distrust will soon follow. It doesn't help that when we lie about something, we have to continue lying to protect ourselves from the bad outcome that we feared would happen if we told the truth in the first place. When we start relationships, we're getting to know and share many things with each other. In the beginning, we're honest and open until we hit a bump in the road and we find something that we disagree about. If this is a big disagreement, we will either choose to continue the relationship by accepting the difference, or avoiding it, or lying about it. The alternative is to release the relationship altogether. When this kind of disagreement is something we discover early on in a relationship, it is far easier for us to release the relationship then. But the more emotionally invested we get in the relationship, the harder it is to let it go, and the easier it is to justify lying to keep the other person in our lives. This, however, stunts our relationships from the full open friendships to a crippled imitation. Relationships that started from falling in love are particularly susceptible to this failure because of this. When we are in love, we are chemically driven to change our behaviors to suit the other person in that relationship. And when the chemicals wear off, we revert back to the us that we were before the chemical rush. This causes many problems, especially on the level of acceptable and unacceptable behaviors that, while easy to maintain under the influence of in-love chemical bliss, is more work and sometimes impossible to maintain in the aftermath of it. This is where we start to lie about things. For example, promising our partners that we will go on a diet, but secretly sneaking snacks when we go to the grocery store and not saying anything for fear of reprisal. This is how it starts. But in the end, the lies can grow broader from there, if only so we seem acceptable to our partner, for fear of their condemnation and withdrawal. Eventually, however, one will recognize the lies, or the other will tire of telling them, and the relationship will crumble. There is a way out of this, however, and it's in number 1. Not lying can honestly save us. Being honest is really one of the hardest things to do in our lives. As I've stated, we were taught through demonstration and punishment that honesty, though mouthed as being the best thing for us, is actually the worst. When we are truly honest, people that we love may move away from us. We can be ridiculed, belittled, ostracized, labeled, and discarded. But most of all, we can be rejected and dehumanized for being honest about our feelings or our lifestyles that may go against what those closest to us find acceptable. This can be as simple as admitting to not liking an activity, or as deep and complex as having an unacceptable sexual orientation. So we lie to preserve our own and others' feelings, and to present an acceptable face for those we wish to remain in our lives, and whose approval is important for us to maintain for our own self-approval. These lies, from the big to the small, contribute to the society of anxiety and depression that we live in today. It is hard to be happy when you have to lie just to feel acceptable and accepted. Now, I'm not saying that depression is caused strictly by lying. I'm saying that lying contributes to it and sometimes can be the root cause of it. Imagine all of the little lies that we use on a daily basis, like I'm doing good when we're not, pretending that we're not hurt when we are, feeling tired but pretending we're not, and being depressed and pretending we aren't. Now, imagine a day when you don't have to pretend and everyone around you is empathetic and supportive. Or, the alternative, you don't have the need to impress those around you because you don't rely on their goodwill for your emotional or physical well-being. Less depressed? Of course. At the very least, less pressured or stressed. And you know what that means. Less stress means better health. Yep, your ability to be honest can literally save your life. But how to get there? The easiest way, of course, is to have everyone around us change into empathetic and caring human beings. Right, like that's gonna happen. Or we can surround ourselves with like-minded individuals, which can help insulate us from the rest of the world. But this still means that we have to lie to the rest of the populace for a fair amount of the time. And let's face it, the issue is not going to get resolved, just buffered and made at least more tolerable. If we want to really fix the issue, however, we need to change our attitude towards ourselves. What I mean by this is we can make a change in how we view ourselves. One of the main reasons that we rely on others' opinions of us for our own self-esteem is that we are ashamed of who we are. This is why we tend to lie about our feelings, wants, and desires. Because we feel that we are wrong. Not that we're doing something wrong, but that we, in our core selves, feel we are wholly wrong as human beings, and we look to others to approve of what we're doing to measure our own rightness. This is one of the main reasons that we conform to other people's expectations, and why we fear disapproval. The key to being honest, which we respect in others but fear in ourselves, is to work on letting go of our need for other people's approval. By doing this, we are actually doing the work that we feel others should be doing to make our lives easier. And here's the kick in the pants. When we start to release our reliance on others' approval and start to be more honest with people in our lives, we, in turn, are more patient and open to others' honesty without condemnation or ridicule. And we become the people that start to build the more empathetic and caring environment we wished existed in the first place. If you're interested in understanding the effects of toxic shame, which is what I was just talking about, I would suggest you start by taking a look at almost any of the shame researcher Brene Brown's TED Talks, which I will have linked below in the description. That's it for this video. Please feel free to leave comments and questions below, and don't forget to click on the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be notified when I post new content. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for another Top 5 in the future.